We now turn to internationalizing Indian education, the experience of VIT. Mohan Kannegal, CEO and of India and APAC at Emeritus, will lead this discussion, shedding light on the global journey of VIT and its impact on higher education.
Hi to everyone, good morning. So this is a conversation on internationalization. I think there are two types of internationalizations that we've been listening to and seeing in this conference. One is where Indian students go abroad. The other variety is foreign students coming into India. Very clearly, VIT, Vellore Institute of Technology, is an institute of eminence, one of the 4 or 5 select universities which are in that category. And they have done, I would say, among the most amount of work and been able to attract the most number of foreign students onto their campuses. So we thought we'll have a discussion with Sekar on what we can learn from that. Sekar is part of the founding family of the institution itself and also president at the university. So yes, Sekar, for me always the big question whenever I hear about foreign students coming into India is, we are a country with 1.6 billion people. As you can see, there are people everywhere, right? So wherever you go, all are public places. So the big question would be, why bother? Why do you need foreign students at all?
Good morning, Mohan. Thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure. So internationalization has become an essential thing. It has become an obvious thing. I haven't even thought why, but it's a good question you're asking why. So for starters, it gives a diverse student body. So students learn from each other. So when they come from diverse cultures, they get a better experience. So that diverse culture helps a lot in many regards. And of course, for the student to network, to have a better network, it helps. Apart from the diverse student body issue, we also are looking at, for example, international ranking. If you look at any of the international ranking, having more international students and more international faculty helps a lot.
Right.
It not just helps in those particular parameters, it helps in many other parameters about your international reputation, etc. So, of course, it's a good forex earner for the country and the institution also. And there are numerous such reasons. We haven't even thought why, but we just do it. It has become an essential now.
Thanks, Sekar. So 2 big points you're saying. One is obviously the student, even the Indian student, every student benefits from a diverse audience. And of course, rankings and the other benefits. So when you go out to another country, what is your pitch to them? Because typically, right, so one of the things I often wonder is, we speak to many Indian institutions, all of them say we want to be outside of India. So my question in my head usually is, if you meet this student from the American Midwest or the middle of Africa, let's say, what's our story to them, right? So why us? Like, obviously they go to a student fair, they can see thousands of universities, so why us? So what have been some things that VIT is able to speak about?
Sure. You can categorize the students into 2. One is the full-time students. The other is like the exchange kind of students. So VIT attracts full-time students from developing nations.
Right.
And attracts those short-term students from developed nations. Okay. So the pitch is different for these 2 kind of categories of students. So let's first talk about the short-term students. Right. So we get students from US, Europe, Australia, Singapore, such developed nations, but they stay with us for a max of a semester.
Okay.
They, sometimes it's a few weeks, and sometimes it's faculty-led program, or it need not be faculty-led. So these are students whom we are studying in a university where we have partnership with.
Right.
So they come here and spend time, and mostly they earn some credit and take it back to their university. So there we don't do a direct pitch, so it's through the university international relations office. So we are listed as one of the options to go and study abroad.
Right.
So this is the short-term students. For the full-time students, long-term, for the degree students, we get students, for example, the biggest source keeps varying for us.
Right.
It used to be Bhutan, then Rwanda, Ethiopia, and China. We hosted the biggest number of Chinese students in India. In fact, our chancellor was given an award by the Chinese Prime Minister also for hosting. But then the number completely dwindled now because of the geopolitical reasons. Now, if you look at VIT in the current student body, the biggest number is from SAARC nations, the South Asian nations like Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, except Pakistan. All our neighboring countries are counting the maximum. The pitch there is about, students are looking for English education, and they're looking for affordable education and good living environment in the campus, secure living environment. Safety becomes an issue. And they are also looking for good career opportunities after that. And what attracts them to VIT is a lot to do with the reputation. So it's the academic reputation. I mean, the rankings play a major role, whether it's the internal NIRF government ranking or the international QS or THE or Shanghai ranking play an important role. So students do look at all those factors when they make a decision of coming to an institution. And the biggest thing they are looking for is word of mouth. So students who have studied from a particular country, they go back and they ask them, and then that's how we do it. So our pitch is mainly on the quality of education, faculty, facilities, etc. We do get some doctoral students also. For them, we pitch about the research facilities we have and the publications we do, etc. So different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for that. And then there must be stories, right? So there's always, you get somebody from a country that is alien to us, to our culture, and they come in. And Vellore is also not an urban area in that sense. So what are some challenges? What are those interesting, funny, good stories?
So I know India has a bit more conservative culture compared to many other countries. And being in Vellore, it's more conservative than Mumbai or Bangalore. Once a couple of French students came and they wanted boyfriend and girlfriend. And they wanted to live in the same room in the campus. So in VIT, it's not allowed. So either you have to choose the men's hostel or the women's hostel. You cannot have a joint. There's no co-ed living in Vellore. So they were pretty upset. And they said, how come it's not possible to live together? We don't need to be married to living together. So I know now in India there's a big conversation going on that topic. I don't want to get into that. So finally, they said, we are not coming to VIT. That's an extreme example which I wanted to give you. The other example is about simple thing like alcohol. So in VIT, it's a dry campus. You cannot consume alcohol inside the campus. You can go out, but you cannot come drunk into the campus. So we have very strict rules about alcohol. And some of the foreign students, they said, what is wrong?
What's the point of being a student?
So, I mean, these are all issues which you don't think ahead. You think you go pitch it to the foreign students, make them come. You don't think about live-in relationship, or you don't think about alcohol and other issues. So we do face a lot of challenges. So what we are doing is a lot of pre-arrival orientation. So we do online orientation. We tell them what are all the rules of India. I mean, sometimes dressing also matters. So there are huge cultural differences, but we still manage. I mean, we try to strike a balance between the most conservative and most liberal. Somewhere in between, we strike a balance. So we tell them beforehand what are all the rules where we cannot be lenient about. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes.
Wonderful. And what about things like food and teaching, right? So in the classroom, accents.
Yes,
So,
yes, those are all again issues. When the huge Chinese contingent were there, we got a Chinese mess, not the Indian Chinese mess. I'm talking about Chinese mess here.
Right.
So we got cooks from China, ingredients from China, and
Oh, wow.
they loved it. But the problem is, unless you have a separate kitchen, because what they eat, the Indian students can't even go near, right? The smell and all that.
Right.
So a lot of coexistence issues do come up. So we have to have a separate Chinese
balance
mess.
those.
Yeah, and then for African students, we used to have a separate African mess. So mess means the canteen system
or the
we're talking
cafeteria.
about. So those issues do come up, and the Indian accent is not understood by many of the foreign students, but over a few weeks they do get used to it. So, and we tell the faculty also to be a bit slower in explaining things when they have international students in the class. You know, Indians tend to speak very
Much
fast.
faster.
Very fast. And so those incompatibilities also sometimes show up. It's a challenge. And we do give training to our, especially staff members who deal with international students. And we make sure they are comfortable after, when they arrive, we pick them up from the airport and, you know, we help them with the visa process. And here there is registration process, FRRO process. There are many other
the
processes.
visas easy? Student visas relatively?
Mostly easy, but with China we had issues.
Okay.
They didn't get visas so easily, so we had to talk to our embassy there in China. You know, again, sometimes we don't know whether they're friends or foes or strangers. The relationship keeps going up and down between India and China, so there were issues.
Wonderful. And then on the faculty side, right? So what are some things? Just when you were mentioning, by the way, I went to a college. I was living in the south. I went to the college in the north. And even if you've one of Sundar Pichai's interviews, he's mentioned he couldn't speak Hindi when he went to IIT Kharagpur. I think he went to, and he said something. He learned a word which he thought was a good word, and went and told it to the guy running the mess, and it started a riot, and there's a whole bunch of problems. So I'm just mentioning that to say orientation for students is required even inside the country, right? So you also receive a lot of students from the north into Vellore.
So the most spoken language in Vellore campus is Hindi.
Is Hindi, right? So yeah.
So, but if you step outside the campus, nobody even speaks a word of Hindi.
Right.
So we have a very diverse student body. So this, for the international students, we also have like a buddy program. We have some study buddies whom we assign. So through their peers, they get to learn much more than you know, a faculty or staff member talking to them. So the study buddy program helps a lot in getting them acclimatized to the Indian conditions. So you know, language they manage.
Yeah. And so how do you attract international faculty? Because that's the other element of...
Yeah, all of us in India are still in the very nascent stage in attracting international faculty. So right now our full-time faculty is pretty low, it's less than 1%. But we do have a lot of adjunct faculty who visit for a brief term. It could be a few weeks or even a semester, and then they go back.
Right.
So those are low-hanging fruits to attract faculty. And once they come and they see the environment, they see the research facilities, they see the culture there, they tend to come for a longer period. So it's like you do some pilot, you ask them to come for a week or two, and then elongate it for the next period, etc. So certainly, I think having good research culture, research facilities, research scholars, fellow researchers helps in attracting international faculty easily.
Got it. Wonderful. And also just the government angle, right? So even here, for example, we have most Australian universities are also backed by their, you know, there is an Austrade, there is a bunch of industry, the embassies, all of them support that expansion. Similarly, for the UK, there's a lot of support from the government. Not so much for the US, but then the US universities themselves are very popular. Does the Indian government do any of that? Like, do they take you guys along?
Sure. India has come up with the Study in India program, but it's still in its nascent stages. Recently, our association, we had a meeting with Honorable Minister of Education, Mr. Pradhan.
Right.
He's very keen on promoting Indian
India as a
education,
destination.
India as a destination. But we are not there yet, and we have been pushing for it because India is right now not seen as an education destination for many of the foreign students.
Right.
We need to do a lot more.
Right.
I'm told the number of international students in India is only 48,000
Right.
compared to the huge pool of
Compared to the
international
million who
students.
go out.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So what I feel is there's a huge potential for India.
Right.
Being an English-speaking nation, having an affordable tuition and affordable living, we can do wonders. It's just that we lack good marketing strategy as a country.
Got it.
I'm glad that the government of India has started doing it, but we need to become much more aggressive
Right.
in taking everybody together to many of the fairs
Right.
and posing as one team, Team India, and because traditionally the image of India is not so great because maybe the living conditions in the campuses may not be that great, things like that. But lot has changed in India,
Right.
but that message has not gone out yet.
Right.
So we need to do a lot more to market, to make a pitch to the outside world. Yet to be done.
Wonderful. And then, of course, the big question will, if one is you get students into India, but will you set up a campus elsewhere? Will you go out to sort of achieve the same goal?
It's on the cards for
Okay.
now. We are exploring options, and we are also looking at the new rules have come allowing foreign higher education institutions to come into India. So we are looking for partnership opportunities also. Many of the Indian institutions also looking, and vice versa. We are wanting to go out also. Things are all
Happening. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, and last thing I'll ask you is, so 20 years out, okay, both of us will take a shot at this. 20 years out, New York Times headline, maybe not New York Times. Okay. So 20, the last time I asked this question, somebody told me in 20 years there might be no New York Times. So, but anyway, so The Economist or Wall Street Journal or the Times of India. So, the article is about Indian education. It's 20 years out. The article is about Indian education. What do you think the headlines will read?
So headlines would be India has become a major player for the students to study in the world. I mean,
Right.
I'm not putting it in a very sexy way,
Right.
but such a headline would be there. Because I think we are heading in the right direction. We have the right ingredients in place. It's just that cooking needs to be done to get the dish out. So I think I'm very optimistic on it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm bullish. We will see such a headline.
Wonderful. My shot at it is it might read the current US president is a VIT graduate, okay, or some such. Okay. So, but yeah, so that's where we want to be, right? That's
Yeah.
where we want to be.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Thank you, Sekar. Thanks everybody, and.